What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. And in this video, we're going to look at another way that we can render this scene. Not necessarily just a random shot here or there, but specifically looking at getting close to a rendered floor plan, getting close to a rendered site plan, some elevations, get pretty close to that. We can do that with Twinmotion. Before we get started, if at any point you just happen to enjoy something, you happen to learn something especially, please demolish that like button. It tells me that you learned something and that you might have liked it. Also, change the phase of that subscribe button to existing. That also helps me out so much, and I know a lot of you haven't done that yet. So please consider doing that if you like this content. Jumping right into it now, we've got just this basic backyard scene. It's got enough content in it, and we're kind of ready to start rendering. We want to look at what a floor plan might look like rendered, maybe some elevations. Let's see what we can start to do here. Now, I will say before we really get into it that an actual rendered floor plan, an actual rendered elevation is not possible with Twinmotion just because of how their orthographic views are set up. Now, the first thing we'll do, of course, is go to those views. And if you come up to the eye here at the top right, you can see that we can come to the house and its views, and we can change all of these views from just a basic perspective is where we are now to all these different elevation views. And you can start to see we clearly have an elevation view here, and it's nice. But as I zoom in, like, you might wonder, like, what the heck is this? And, you know, it looks okay, but it's got these like weird looking filters or something on it. And it does. And there's no way around this. It's just the way that Twinmotion is set up right now. I'm hoping at some point this will change, but like, this is a site plan and clearly this looks terrible. Now all the content is here, and if I zoom in, I can see it all, but like, it's kind of painful to look at, honestly. And so while I'm saying we're going to get a rendered site plan, I'm not necessarily saying that it's going to look actually orthographic. It's not going to be parallel. It's going to still be in perspective. And how are we going to achieve this? Now, it's kind of meeting in the middle when it comes to getting a rendered site plan or elevation. So, of course, what we need to do is come down here to image. Let's go ahead and create another image. And you can immediately see that I've got this view in my image. Now, if you want to, you can render this image. And we've got the whole site here for our site plan. You can render this image, but this looks really terrible. And I would never begin to think that I would want to render anything like this. And honestly, even if we went and changed some of the settings here, there's not a lot that we can work with, honestly, because of the type of view we're in. We can't impact some of the parallelism. We can only do like effects and extra stuff on top. There's really not much that I can come in here and change that's going to have a big effect. Now, I mean, you can see some of the clouds, but again, that looks awful. You know, yeah, you can change the season, but again, this really looks pretty bad. And I'm not trying to advocate for doing this at all. But what I am trying to advocate for is simply saying, now, once I get to this point, maybe I want to frame my site plan a little better. And now if what I do at this point is click this recapture button, what happens is I'm immediately sent to the ground. And you might think this is kind of ridiculous and not actually helpful. But what I can do now is the fact that I'm still in media mode, I can start to, I can literally just scroll my scroll wheel backwards, and I will begin to raise up. And now, like I said before, this is not an actual site plan. It is, of course, it is a site plan, but it's in perspective, so it's not a true plan. So I will say, and again, once we're done with this, we have the site plan. You know, sure, I can put quotes around that all day, but we can come in and recapture this, and now we have this site plan to work with. And as long as you remember and know that you're going to have to work with a perspective view, I mean, this is fine. I can't say this is my optimal choice. I really wish this were an orthographic view, it were flat, and then I knew that, and everything were, you know, how you'd normally expect an actual site plan to be. But now that we're actually in a perspective view, we have all the power to do everything we want. Now, the weather doesn't do a whole lot, and you know, we can start to change the time of day this way, but honestly, you're probably better off doing that more so by the location. You know, affecting this will now change some of our our shadows. And, you can start to get a different type of look this way. And of course, I've got a separate video for all the different settings that you can start to achieve with exporting images from Twinmotion. So go check that out. But, honestly, we are one step closer to getting a rendered site plan. Now, it's not exactly parallel, but this will probably do. So, okay, I'm pretty happy with this. But I'm going to go ahead and quit media, and let's go ahead and try to get an elevation view and see if we can get the same thing going. So let's go ahead and go to our elevation view that we might want. Let's go ahead and go to this side view here. So I'm looking kind of straight on at the backyard. So this is pretty good. We can kind of see everything going on in the backyard. We've got some elevation change, and it starts to look pretty good. But again, all that black, it's terrible. This is purely for, just looking over in Twinmotion and almost nothing else. So I can create image, and like I said before, we're here in the image, and I'm going to go ahead and come straight to recapture. And as soon as I recapture, I am just somewhere in my project, okay? And I'm just going to start scrolling backwards. And as soon as I scroll backwards, like I said before, this is not exactly like what we want. We can start to move up and down to frame this a little better. We can move left to right to frame it a little better, zoom out a little more. And, this is closer to what we want from an elevation. Again, it's not an elevation. It's just getting closer. And really my hope is that one day we can get actually closer, and if not, achieving an actual rendered site plan, a rendered elevation. So at this point, again, I'm going to come down to recapture. And as soon as I do that, I've got all of this. It's saved in my settings and everything. I can come in again, change the time of day, change everything that I might want to, and we can get to a point to where this is an actual rendering and we're happy with it. And it's something that's pretty close to, a rendered elevation-ish. I'm not fully happy with this again, but it's something that we're kind of stuck working with. This isn't bad. It is what it is. And just knowing that it's pretty close to an elevation is pretty nice. It's getting there. It's a starting point, but this is honestly the best that we can do. Now, I hope you're at least satisfied enough with these two options that we have, getting this rendered perspective site plan and elevation. Now, honestly, what we could do for the site plan, we don't have to go to the trouble of setting up that site plan view, that over the top view, that actual top view. We can come in here ourselves and really just get pretty close to it. Now, the reason I went to that actual top view is that it is one extra level of precise that's going to get me closer to really that actual top of my view, where everything is actually square. Now, if you see where I am trying to get to now, and if I were to actually go to that top view again in this elevation or in this site plan, you could see everything is pretty much square, at least horizontally. Now, of course, everything is in perspective too, but nonetheless, I think it looks pretty good. And, you can zoom in on specific things and get really that top view that's rendered in perspective pretty quickly this way. So that's going to do it. Again, we are very close to getting rendered site plans and elevations. I hope someday that we can. That might be something to go to the roadmaps for Twinmotion and submit an idea as something that we'd really like to see. If it's not up there already, I have checked and it's not there, but hopefully it is coming soon. So leave me a question if you have any questions, or if you've somehow figured out how to get rendered site plans and elevations in Twinmotion, please let me know. I'm very curious. I'd love to be able to do that, especially on a more regular basis and not having to use perspective. If you enjoyed this video or happen to learn something, please demolish that like button. That helps me out so much. Also, since most of you are not subscribed, please change the phase of that subscribe button to existing. That also helps me out so much. If you lasted this long in the video, you're awesome, and I can't thank you enough for that. Hope to see you in the next video. Have a wonderful day, and thanks for watching.